you playing?
Hello, and welcome to What the Bleep Are You Playing? A podcast where we play a game, many times bad, and tell you why the bleep we played it. I am Whopper Sean. This is Chicken Fries Thomas, and Mason, who wears the crown. And we played...
Whopper, 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 Junior, Double, Triple, Whopper, Flame Grill taste with perfect toppers. I rule this day. Lettuce, mayo, pickle, ketchup, it's okay if I don't want that Impossible or bacon Whopper, any Whopper my way. You rule your season today at BK. Have it your way.
Sneak King. So how you guys doing?
I like that one. You were actually nice to me for once.
I hate my fucking life.
So we followed up last week's episode where we took on the M&Ms, and I'm like, you know who else has games? Burger King.
I see your M&Ms, and I raise you a Burger King.
And so, 2006's classic Burger King Xbox game, Sneak King.
Which is one of, did you say three games that were released around this time?
So basically, the company Blitz Games was trying to... Basically, the creator was trying to make he wanted to jump into the arcade, the Xbox arcade, and sell, cheaper games, kind of what we now know as cell phone games a lot of times, things like that, but cheaper games that you could play, but they had budgeting issues, so he went in a meeting with head of Microsoft, or one of the people in Microsoft, was basically like, yeah, I really want to do this, but do you know when he advertised? It's like, oh, I'll let you know. And like a week...
I'll take care of it.
A week later, he apparently called him back and was like, so, Burger King wants to make games. And they're like, okay, cool. And so they made 3 games that were all fairly successful.
And they were all very different.
Very different, because they're all meant to be arcade games.
Because we had this game, Sneak King, which is it's Hitman for kids. It's the basic way to describe it. And then there was Big Bumpin',
and Pocket Bike Racing.
And Pocket Bike Racing. That was the other one. That's right. I couldn't remember what the third one was.
So they basically they made 3 games. They were $3.99 on the Xbox Online, or with a value meal. When you went to Burger King.
Yeah, that's when you know your game is quality, when they're given away with fast food value meals.
I mean, I think you had to pay a little more for it, but...
Oh, okay.
But
they're not really giving...
They wanted it to be an online game, but Burger King was like, no, we have to sell it with our value menus. So they printed it, and so they printed tons and tons of copies, which is why it is not expensive to purchase these days, even though it's, a 20-year-old game, because there are so many copies.
It's the E.T. thing all over again.
Yeah, that's pretty much... they made, I want to say, like, billions of copies of this, basically. Like, so goddamn many. And in the end, I can't think of many parents who were like, yeah, I will buy a video game at Burger King for my children. I mean, I'm sure there were some. I'm sure there was a good chunk, but overall, I can't... I mean, again, I could be wrong.
It wasn't also with like a Happy Meal. It was like, buy your Whopper value meal. You got your I'm going to buy my Whopper and my large drink and my large fries, and oh yeah, Sneak King.
What?
Yeah, that was number 16 on the menu. I'll take a large Sneak King, please.
The idea of a video game, because it was, what was the publishing studio? It was like Burger King Games, right?
King Games.
Or King Games. So the idea of Burger King publishing video games seems to... It's like, oh, hey, the next big blockbuster movie. Who is the producer? Chuck E. Cheese. What?
So, it hasn't been uncommon for fast food or restaurants to get into the video game industry.
Absolutely not.
But this is the latest entry. Like by the mid 2000s, you weren't seeing those very often especially the major consoles. Like McDonald's has multiple Sega and Super Nintendo games. Wendy's has a computer game and a couple of others. I think Arby's had a game out there. I think
so, but
it might just be a computer game. But
there was a Yo Noid. for
Yeah.
Domino's.
Yeah. I mean, like, the thing is, the difference between that is that the McDonald's campaign had, excuse me, McDonald's had Ronald McDonald, and Ronald McDonald was huge.
Yes.
You know, he had the cartoon, he had...
That's right. There was the McDonald's cartoon, like Ronald McDonald's and Friends or something like that.
I believe so.
There was and there was multiple characters too. There was
The Hamburglar.
there was the big purple Grimace. Was that his name? Grimace. There was Grimace. There was the Hamburglar. There was
The
that
bird.
bird. Yeah, they had a whole cast of characters.
Does anybody remember when they made the Hamburglar sexy and it was a controversy?
Yes,
What?
and it was fucking hilarious.
It was
Hold
hilarious.
on. What?
Oh yeah.
They made the hamburger like this actual just normal ass looking dude, but a sexy normal ass looking dude. So it caused controversy,
Oh,
and
man.
it was fucking hilarious.
It was.
For some reason, that reminds me of when they got what's his face to be the Colonel.
Oh yeah.
What? Oh,
They've done that a couple of times. The Colonel's been played by a lot of different actors.
yeah, but it was that one
One-
guy from the one show, from the Saved by the Bell guy. I can't think of his name.
Anyone,
I don't want to get it wrong because
anyone remember the WWE Battle Royale that was sponsored by KFC and all the wrestlers dressed up as Colonel Sanders?
oh jeez.
That is fantastic. So it's not uncommon for these businesses to jump into entertainment. The thing that's a little weird about this jump in is that like how much Burger King had these lists of demands.
Yeah, Burger King is oddly... I don't want to say oddly, because it's kind of good to be passionate about your mascot character.
Yeah.
But
Especially in the
there's-
2000s because they were just really launching the King ad campaigns and they were really passionately making it into this mascot that was showing up more on advertisements.
Yeah. And so, again, I don't want to say it's weird that they had a list of demands, but some of the demands were like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, for example, I think Sean brought this up. Apologize if I'm stealing your thunder here. It was originally supposed to be a kind of spy versus spy-esque game.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be a whole bunch of kings trying to deliver Burger King, and you'd be laying traps, basically just sabotaging each other's delivery, like wacky races, but instead you're on foot. So, yeah, spy versus spy, like I said.
It's very spy versus spy.
But Burger King had the demand, there may only be one king.
There can only be one. Like Highlander, the Burger King king, there can only be one. They also said no enemies, so like the king could not be taken down by anything.
Nothing can stop the king.
Which is fine. I didn't need, an RPG being shot in by the king while he was
Yeah.
trying to deliver food.
Yeah,
but-
Burger King just kneels down, and all of a sudden there's a red dot on his forehead.
Ah, yes, Call of Burger. I would
But-
play that game. I'd play Call of Burger.
But like they really kind of stripped this game. This one specifically, I actually haven't played the other Burger King games. We may review them later on the podcast
Oh boy.
because I do own them.
You
But-
don't get to talk.
But this one specifically is stripped down to the bare bones and I think actually because it's bare bones, there is a charm to it. It also, because it didn't try to do a lot of extra stuff, it functions probably a lot better than it might have, considering the budget and the time frame they had to make this game.
The fact that it came out for the Xbox and the Xbox, was it original Xbox and Xbox 360?
Yes.
It was like a dual release sort of thing. The fact that it came out on those systems and not the Wii surprises me.
Well,
because this looks like a Wii game.
It's because it was an entirely contract through Microsoft, because they were really trying to pump up the Microsoft Online.
Yeah,
Because Microsoft Live, everything, they were trying... Because remember, Microsoft was kind of really trying to start the first store, the online stores that we now know in every system. That's was Microsoft was like, okay, yeah, you go here to buy your games. And so this was the company trying to do that, but they didn't have the budget to really do a lot of those things, so that's why they needed an advertiser to fund them, hence why Burger King was involved.
Yes, the big Xbox salesman, the king from Burger King.
Well, this game sold 2 million units, so...
Did it sell 2 million, or did they sell 2 million value meals with with the Burger King game attached.
Yes. A little of both.
Well, I'm sure some people just bought the game because I can imagine being like, hell, I don't need to imagine. I remember in 2006 I saw ads for fucking Sneak King, and my response was, what?
You can just imagine a late night, you're sitting there, you're going through the online catalog, and you're like, there's a Burger King game, and it's $3? Click.
Yeah, like, you kind of have to get it just for the memes.
Yeah.
And boy, does this game deliver on that aspect of it.
This game is weirdly fun. It is weirdly fun.
I think Mason and I had the more fun than Thomas overall on it, but it is
me sound
really
like
fun.
a killjoy.
No, I just think that this style of game wasn't necessarily something that you were like, yeah, I'm gonna seek out and like have lots of fun playing this game.
It was more like I kind of just accepted it as I got what I got. Like, I don't want to say I like wanted to die playing it or whatever, but I was just playing it, and these guys were kind of laughing their ass off, and my response was, yeah.
It is such a goofy game. But it said it delivers on the meme aspect of it, the weirdness, the fact that you're following young women to give them food sometimes, or that you're hiding in barrels or trash cans or in people's houses. Like, there is a creepy factor, but because it is played off as such this like harmless thing that you don't really realize, you're like, I'm a creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Burger King kind of comes across as like an innocent, naive little fuck here, because he's just giving you free food, like that's all he wants.
And the way he walks around on his little tippy toes, and the animations for the king in this are really funny.
Yeah, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. Even through all the years where all the memes and whatever, I never found the Burger King scary.
Like, I think not the mascot scary. The way they did the advertising campaign was creepy enough to me. Like, not like the look, because I'm going to say Ronald McDonald is creepier than the king. But the idea of a dark alleyway of just the king standing there staring at you, yeah, a little creepier.
That's fair.
I think it's the fact that it's just the way that he's translated into this game. I think because when you look at the king in the commercials, he's just so blank. So he looks like he's staring into your soul. But when you look at him as like a video game character, it does kind of sand away all creepiness that he has.
And maybe it is because this game has that kind of Wii early Xbox, even though it came out in 2006, look to it. I mean, a little better than early Xbox.
It's still around early Xbox. I mean, the graphics aren't the selling point.
Yeah, and I think it's because of that the king comes across less creepy, because his face is less stoic and more kind of dopey.
Yes,
so,
he is very himbo-esque. Like,
yeah.
I am here to deliver food. That is my goal. That is all. But I think, as I said, graphically, this game, they get the king, and they focused very much on the king and his movements and his animations and his dances and everything. And everything else, they're just like, yep, that's there.
Yeah.
Well,
pretty much.
It's almost, this was a Burger King game first and foremost.
It's almost like they planned the king to be the character and everyone was going to play the king, and so they were doing lots of stuff with the king, and then when they were told there can only be one king,
it's like, oh shit,
everything else had to be kind of added in.
Yeah.
So, the people are kind of bland, blank slates that you're just waiting for them to get
Sims.
hungry.
They're Sims.
Even less so in some aspects, but yes.
Yeah, they're just there. They are just codes. They're just piles of code that occasionally hunger, and that is where the king delivers. That's kind of what this is.
You have some occasional puzzle, like not even really puzzles, but little things to get around each level. Find ways to push buttons and knock down ladders, push pipes, and things like that. So you can get to new areas to feed, make sure every person has been fed.
We reveal the king has the strength of fucking Hercules, where he can just poke a metal pipe and it just starts rolling, and it's like, okay.
Not just a metal pipe. That is concrete.
That is a concrete
That
pipe.
is a concrete pipe that is picked up by
cranes.
Cranes, and the king is like with his finger just like boop, and it goes flying.
So what we're saying here is that the king can actually defeat Goku.
The King Solo is your favorite character.
Yes, the king.
So-
In the fighting game that needs to be created of all fast food mascots fighting each other, the king wins.
The King's the final boss.
Oh look, the king.
Jeez.
But
It's some SNK-ass final boss where he's just sending energy beams that look like hamburgers after you.
Oh,
Fucking
man.
pile driving you through 6 floors.
I
if he
play
wa-
that game.
If he wasn't so consumed with wanting to feed people and worked on his malicious intent, then he might actually. But instead, he's just in this game. I'm going to feed you.
You just yeah.
And he feeds you by, well, sneaking around if we get to the gameplay.
Yeah,
If
and
you want to.
Yeah, that's where I was heading towards. So
Okay.
perfect timing. The game functions.
Yeah.
And it plays what it sets out to do. It does well. Like it's not trying to be anything complicated. You're walking around, and you're waiting till a little meter appears above people's heads, and you are trying to feed them. You're trying to get them, and complete quests, feeding them at different levels of their hunger, hiding in different things, climbing on different things, and feeding people. It's very basic while avoiding their amazing vision of blue cone. They really
Yeah.
take the Metal Gear Solid vision cone.
And then,
Yeah, these guys got some tunnel vision problems. They might need to see an eye doctor.
the thing about this game is that in a way it is similar to the last game we played, M&M Adventure, where it does what it sets out to do perfectly fine. The thing that M&M Adventure set out to do was so basic and so derivative and something that really any game could do. In this, it had with Sneak King, it has the edge of originality. That it's setting out to do its own original thing, and it does that well. And honestly, I would have taken this game if it did what it was trying to do, and it didn't do it well, over M&M's Adventure doing something well that every other game has done.
That's fair. I do think that its basicness in everything really does make it a lot, more fun than if they had tried to go over the top complicated. Because I don't think they would have been succeeded in a more complicated game.
That's
No,
fair.
these developers, unlike a lot of developers we talk about, they kind of knew their limits.
Mm-hmm. And
what
they knew their
had,
financial
so-
limits. That's why they were seeking out advertisers. They did not have the money, and they would stay open for 7 more years after this game because of it. The company Blitz Games closed in 2013 after making a Shrek game, and 1 year after making Epic Mickey 2.
Yeah,
Which is so wild.
These developers have an odd history. They made
Because there's like 7
excuse
different divisions of their in the company. Because there's Blitz Games, all owned under the Blitz, but there's Blitz 1-Up, Virtual Experience, Blitz Tech, True Sim, Volatile Games, which made a lot of adult games.
Volatile Games is the one I'm most familiar with because they made the critically acclaimed Dead to Rights Retribution.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Blitz Arcade, which is what made that's the subdivision of the company that made Sneak King.
Interesting.
Because I'm assuming Blitz Arcade was meant for those Xbox arcade.
Yeah, they made a lot of those. They made Blitz Arcade did like SpongeBob, Underwater Slam, Underpants Slam. So
I'm guessing again, probably an Xbox Live game.
yeah,
Underpants Slam sounds like a sex act.
unfortunately, but so
Fucking kill me every time. Every time they bring up a sex act, I want to fucking die. Jesus Christ.
all right,
Anyway, going back to Sneak King, it's a very simple game.
it is
Like you-
very simple, and in that it actually. I think it controls pretty well.
It does.
They aren't the controls sometimes aren't the most responsive, specifically when you're trying to get into your hiding spots.
No, I mean, yeah, the controls are perfectly fine. The problem with the game isn't the controls. Let's put it like that. They're fine. Even the camera, it's not like the best thing in the world or whatever. But we've played games with worse cameras.
Absolutely.
The camera, the problem is less some of the camera, it's some of the movement of the camera, and I don't know if they just needed to put the camera a little higher, or maybe a little, like, you know, do a little more top down than kind of the, like, 3/4 of the way on it, so you could see from it, because that, the camera functions, it's just, especially when you're not, like, in a very linear area, at a very, like, small space. If you're in a wide open space, it's sometimes hard to get it to move and see the things that you're trying to see.
And like it controls fine. It does what it does fine. The only issue, the big issue that I can see with this game, I didn't really play it long enough to feel this, but the gameplay loop is so limiting that I really can't see myself playing this for longer than an hour before getting sick of it.
This is a game that they have quests, but man, those quests start getting repetitive very early on.
And see, that's why I think I don't want to say I enjoyed it less than you guys, but I kind of, again, I saw everything I needed to see at a certain point. There was a certain time where I'm just like, I think I get it.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to say that it's a bad thing. Again, I kind of appreciate that this game goes for more simplicity. It doesn't try to do too much. It kind of knows what it is.
It knows its limits.
Yeah, so it's not going everywhere. It's not trying to do a billion things. No, you're the Burger King. You're sneaking around giving people food. That's just it.
That's really it, yeah.
But at the same time, that does make it so incredibly basic that after, I want to say, like 5 quests, I was like, I think I got it.
Funnily enough, the game that came from a fast food chain feels like a fast food to play.
Yeah. They have 4 worlds, and there's enough to differentiate to, like, be able to explore and look around, and they can make a few quests at the beginning feel a little new and refreshing. Like, oh, I have to learn the world. But once you do, you're like, oh, it's the same quests. It's the same sort of thing. They've just kind of lowered the time limit or upped the amount of points you need to make to do the difficulty.
I do appreciate that the game kind of, weirdly enough, does a 3D platformer thing where you don't have to collect everything in order to move on.
Yep, you just have to do 10 missions to move on to each place. And so, like, you can beat half the missions and have gotten through the entire game or entire worlds. I think that its biggest problem is that the quests just get really repetitive, and without, you know, hanging out with friends or sitting down, you know, drinking, or, you know, having a, you know, just a long night, you know, just, oh, we're gonna just laugh and play Sneak King tonight. Right. I don't know how much repetitive or you know, repeat plays there are for this game. Like, even back in 2006, you know, if you went out and got it, yeah, I might sit down and play it. I might try to beat it, you know, for a couple of days, but I can't imagine this would have stuck in a rotation for that long of picking up video games, because it is what it is.
That is fair. Although I will say, this game is, for what it is, nowhere near as bad as the worst game of 2006. I'm referring to Sonic 06.
All right, well.
Okay.
Weirdly, Mason's the one who brings up Sonic 06 on this podcast the most.
It's called subliminal messaging, Sean. Pick up on it faster.
Oh.
Anyways.
So I was gonna make a joke about Sean kind of talking about, you know, can't see a lot of people replaying this game. So I was gonna make the joke of, I can't see a big speed running community coming off Sneak King, but then I was like, shit, I don't want to jinx myself and just have the Sneak King speed player be like, actually, surprisingly, there is. Oh, for God's sake. So I looked it up. Fun fact, the speed run for this game is an hour.
Yeah.
It's
wow.
It's 54 minutes, and that was a record made 8 years ago.
I saw, because I streamed play in this game, and then I went on and I watched a completionist guy who completes games. That's his entire thing. He's like 180 games.
Oh, the completionist.
It's not his. It was a different,
okay.
someone
Different
similar to that. Yeah, but
guy.
same concept, and things like that. And he did Sneak King, and he played through all of it, and he beat the whole game in like 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
Wow.
it's not.
It is not a hard.
You can be
game.
bad at
It's-
video games like me, so it's gonna be harder. But like, it's not a
Right,
complicated
right.
game.
It is not a hard game. It's not a complicated game. Again, I appreciate that it knows what it is. It knows that it's kind of a stupid tie-in for Burger King, and it's just kind of having fun with it. So,
And I think that we see that the company Blitz Games, it seems like they just had fun with a lot of their games. A lot of their games just seem, when they get tie-ins, they're just like, yeah, we're doing it. We know what we have to do to keep the lights on.
Right,
yeah,
right.
they kind of have that self-awareness to it, where it's like, we want to at least give something in here, but yeah.
Which is something we can say about a lot of the licensed games that we've played. There are a lot of times the ones that we have enjoyed usually are because the studio clearly enjoyed what they were working on.
Yeah, and even if it was just for laughs, I can imagine the studio did have at least some fun working on this. So.
There's at least some passion behind this game, even if some of that passion got stripped out by Burger King.
Yes.
Oh boy, a big corporation meddling in the creation of a game. Wow.
I know it never has
It
happened
never
before.
happens.
Never
What are you
has happened
talking
before.
about? Next thing you're gonna know, movie studios meddle with their making of their movies. What?
The only other thing I think I'll point out for this game was it is one mode. There's nothing, if you're only playing the one player, you're only doing the scene. There's no two player. There's no time stuff. There's nothing. It's just one player, do quests.
But at the same time, the game's $3 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
$4 fucking dollars. I'm not expecting a grand epic adventure, so
Yeah.
I don't consider that a complaint personally.
That's fair. It's less of a complaint and more of just a like, hey, you know what you're getting. When you boot it up, it's a one mode. It has menus, unlike some previous game. But those when you click on, it, you're like, oh yeah, this is very basic menus because there's not much in this game. There is the first menu is continue, new game, how to play.
Man, where is my AAA Burger King game? Which of the big AAA studios are finally gonna step up and give us what we really want?
FromSoft.
I was gonna say the EA loot box game that's gonna be.
All right, Microsoft, you finally purchased Activision. What are you gonna do? Burger King.
What?
That's where you're getting your call of burgers.
Yes. Finally, giving the people what they want.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about this game. I think fun is the thing that comes to me, but also
It's a good
it's
time.
kind of a fleeting fun. It's like, yeah, it'll be fun for a bit, but you're probably, not going to spend that much time playing it. Unless you're like setting out with friends, you're like, we're going to have our weekly Sneak King adventure.
It's like eating a Whopper by yourself. It's enjoyable while you're doing it, but you're probably not going to think much about it afterwards.
You might have indigestion later.
You might. Side effects of playing Sneak King may include.
But yeah, on this podcast, we like to ask two important questions of every game that we play. The first one is, how does this game hold up?
Yeah,
It's solid. Like,
For
it
what
holds
it
up
is.
solidly.
I think that's the thing. For
It's-
what it is, it holds up
Yeah.
incredibly well.
Yeah, I mean, this game probably did not get, I'm going to take a wild guess and say it did not get rave reviews when it came out.
5.4 was the average, and it had like ones on like XPlay, and
Yikes.
Yeah, and
did IGN actually review it?
I can't imagine. I mean, maybe. Who knows?
Because there's the whole controversy right now. I say controversy. Of course, they gave it a 7.
What, IGN?
So there's this thing going around, this made data, so there's the video going around that IGN talked about how they don't play every game. A video of an IGN review talking about we don't play every game, so we let kind of the crowd exist. So their low mark is a 7.
Wow.
Basically, they say if it is playable, it's a 7.
Wow.
That was something that came out recently in videos on it. So anyway, yeah, aside from that, it was not reviewed particularly well. No, XPlay back on G4 gave it a 1 out of 5.
Yikes.
Yeah, it probably has the exact same problems now that it had back then. So I'm going to say it probably holds up fine. So
I think overall, yeah, I think it really does hold up perfectly fine. Like, it is what it is, and I'm not gonna claim, oh my gosh, this like has held up like other games around that time. But for an Xbox, not quite platformer, but has a lot of those elements to it. The fact that it has pretty competent controls that work still, and a camera that didn't make me want to scream to the heavens. Yeah, that's an immediately check in my mind of, yeah, this game holds up better than I expected.
And like comparing it visually to like M&M Adventures or Pepsi Man, this game belongs in an art museum compared to those games visually.
They really get the king right. Like, the king is
Yeah.
the money went to that. No surprise again.
The money all went to the king. He is the richest man in the world.
And then he giveth thou a burger.
Please, we just want money. Burger?
well, it's free food, so I guess you're saving money.
Yeah, it holds up just fine. The second question on this podcast that we asked of every game that we play: would you like to see a remake or a reimagining of this game in a modern setting?
No.
I can't say that I would be demanding it, but for the memes, it would be kind of funny to see it get a PS5, Xbox Series X relaunch. Not update the graphics or anything, just put it out there.
Just put it right out there.
Just put it out there for another $3.
I mean, if
Make the continuing adventures of Burger King the Black Ops agent. So
if you just want more Burger King games, I don't feel like there's any reason they couldn't just make another game.
Mm-hmm.
If that's really what you want. But I don't know what they could. I don't know what could be added to this game that that you could do with a new version. And if you just want to play this game again, like you brought up at the top of this podcast, it's $3 used. You can easily find it.
Even cheaper some places. You can find it really cheap.
It is. Yeah, it's
you can get all three Burger King games.
It's the most common video game in the world. If you really want to play it that bad, it's not that hard.
Walk into a store and it's hey, we'll give you Burger King for 50 cents.
Just for walking in the store, here's one Sneak King.
We'll pay you.
It's no secret on this podcast that I really like crossover and license games with weird concepts. So, to answer this question, no, I don't want a direct remake. Yes, I would love a reimagining. If you took this concept and maybe played a little more up a spy versus spy, built it into more of a multiplayer experience.
Yes, make an evil king.
Not necessarily even evil, they don't have to be they're
Dark King.
Make it more, especially with the rise of things like Among Us or the other one that all
Fall Guys.
Fall Guys, thank you. That was the other one with the little things that are walking, where you have weird competitions with people all playing and things like that. I think you could find something pretty fun using this concept and build it that, you could have a lot of people playing something like it. It doesn't have to necessarily be Burger King. It could just be Delivery Man, whatever, and there's different things from it. But I like the idea of that they present in this game, and I think you could actually do something really fun with it if there was a lot of energy and time put into it. So I would be down. But also, again, I bought all three of the Burger King games. I want to get the McDonald's Treasure Island game for the Sega. I want to get these games because there's just something weird and fun and charming to me about fast food mascots becoming the head of the video game protagonist. So
okay, here's my pitch. Not necessarily a Burger King game like Sean said, but it's a kind of kart racer or Twisted Metal clone, but you're delivery drivers. You're trying to race to one house to get it, and it's all real products like Crazy Taxi style. So you're trying to deliver KFC, but all of a sudden someone with Gatling guns like shit.
So we're making
That would be really
we're
fun.
making the DoorDash game or the
Basically.
Uber Eats game, whichever one wants that. But like, I would love to see more weird concepts like this, because this is one. While it is not like the most original concept, because we said it's Hitman, Metal Gear Solid, it's Splinter Cell. You
But
put
for babies.
but for
It's baby's first stealth mode.
it's one of those. But like, the actual gameplay ideas and the way it's utilized is very unique.
Yeah, I am with Sean. I do always find it kind of charming when these kind of fast food mascots, or any mascot in general, like kind of branches out and goes into video games. Mm-hmm. Would I play Grizzy the beat 'em up? Sure, but
Oh yeah, the hockey guy.
the hockey guy. Yeah.
Would you? One of my favorite games as a kid, I got off the back of cereal, and there was General Mills Baseball, where you had your team of General Mills, and you went and played against actual Major League Baseball teams.
Wow.
See, that's just funny to me.
It was amazing. The Trix Rabbit was your pitcher, and Count Chocula was your big slugger.
See, that's just funny to me. Like,
It was
that's
awesome.
a funny idea. So
Like that, those sort of things are things that like I like those ideas. It's the same thing with the M&M's Adventure. I like the idea of taking a mascot of a big company, and yeah, maybe it is just a commercial that we're creating out of it. That's okay if you give me a fun game with it.
yeah, I have never kind of gotten into the criticism. This is just kind of a personal rant. I've never gotten into the criticism of, well, it's just a commercial. Most of the highest grossing movies of all time are kind of commercials. But it doesn't matter as long as you make an entertaining product.
Everything is trying to sell you something, and that's look, at that point, it's okay if you give me an entertaining game. I'm fine with that. Like, you're making a game to potentially sell more DLC or more games or things like that. Like, it's all going to spin off in its own way. So like, and if a major company wants to fund a video game that are very expensive to make to be able to make a commercial out of it, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, as long as it's fun. If it's not fun, then yeah, I'm just going to call it one big commercial. That's a waste of time.
Right,
But
right.
if it is fun, then it's kind of all that matters.
It's kind of
That's
the
fair.
where we were kind of stuck in M&M Adventure. Was it?
It's not fun.
Yeah.
And this game, I think, actually moves that line over to fun a lot more, even if it is simplistic
Well,
to both its credit and its faults.
Simplistic
Yeah.
can equal quality. It's just in this case, there is such a thing as too simple.
Yeah.
But that's Sneak King. But what do you guys think? Do you have any fast food mascot that you would like to see made into a video game? Well, you can tell us by sending us an email to bleepyouplayed@gmail.com. That's bleepyouplayed@gmail.com.
Fast food mascot dating sim. Let's go, boys.
I'd
No,
play
we
it.
already got that. It's the
The
KFC one.
No,
Yeah.
but all of them.
Oh, jeez.
Murder of the Sonic the Hedgehog, but you were determining which.
But
Oh my
who-
gosh,
but
which
it's a
mascot did it?
Yeah, which mascot did it? Which mascot murdered Ronald McDonald? Let's go, boys.
Oh my gosh, I would play that.
In the end, he's not murdered. He just a charity now.
But yeah, and if you want to tell us to play a game, maybe you have one that you want us to play that is a quote unquote commercial. Well, you can make us play that game by subscribing to our Super Bleephead tier over on our Patreon, patreon.com/whatthebleep. That's patreon.com/whatthebleep. And we'll be back next time with a very different type of commercial.
I liked it.